Welcome and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about propagating tuberous begonia, like this U641 with its iridescent spots, variabilis, and here's my bin of variabilis. This is a beautiful fulgurata and a variabilis crossed with Darth Vaderiana. So I have here several cups of tuberous begonia, and I find it easiest for me to grow them in the cups. First, I'm going to clean my shears with some alcohol, which admittedly I don't always do, but do as I say, not as I do. So I find that they grow very readily in these cups, probably because of the high humidity, of course, but also because there's a little tuber there, because they can be a little bit lanky, so the cups tend to hold them up. So you see that little tuber I pointed to, and I'm just going to cut beneath the tuber and towards the bottom of the stem, so the stem doesn't rot. I guess it's a petiole, doesn't rot and then cause rotting of the neighboring tissue. So then I'm just going to cut a little closer to that little round little root ball tuber thing and just make it a little shorter, and then I'm going to plant it into my cup. Like I said, for me, I find it easiest to just plant them in my little plastic cups. They seem to grow really well. It prevents them from drooping over, kind of holds them up, and I can leave them for a very long time without having to do a thing. So I just add my begonia soil, which I have a YouTube video for, and then just prop that in there. And you can just snug it in a bit. I tend to throw in a few beads of slow release fertilizer into all my pots. I just use NutriCoat, but I'm sure you can use, like an Osmocoat or Dr. Schultz or whatever type of slow release fertilizer, but I have NutriCoat on hand and I quite like it, so I'll just stick to that. Although I should probably try a cheaper brand just as a comparison. Maybe that's another video, just to as an experiment. Alright, so just pop that in there, and then because I have no more room in my plant room / double garage, I will poke little holes in my cups, and then I'll hang them up. I don't have my Dremel here, I left it at my shop, so I just use this little pokey device, which you can buy on Amazon or whatnot. Trowel, I think it's called, or I don't know, pokey device. Poke 2 holes, and I bought these tiny little zip ties, which I just put through the 2 holes. This is for a closed vessel. And then make a little loop. And I just cut off the excess. That's the only part I feel guilty about, that bit of plastic that I waste there. And then I just get garden wire from typically the dollar store, super cheap, or Amazon. Make a little hook on each side. I poke the hook through that zip tie and then close it up. And then I can hang it on my racks, which, by the way, I get the racks from Home Depot. And you can buy more expensive ones, but the ones at Home Depot are super light. And they're actually racks for those metal industrial shelves. You can see the veins here. I'm just going to try to use the rest of this leaf that I cut off and just score the vein, and then I'll just plant it into a little cup that I have here with my usual soil. Score the veins and just pop that little guy into the soil. One day I'll do a tour of my room when and if ever it's clean, and show you my setup. I have a desk and different types of soil stored in drawers underneath my desk, which I prepare. So begonia soil, African violet soil, aroid soil, pink Ricula soil. All right, so I'm gonna pop that little prop, tongue twister, into the bin. And then let's look at this one. This is a gorgeous begonia munia created by Botanicas and Maggie and Anya, who's the owner of Botanicas. These are little clips that I use to clip the two cups together if the cup is getting, or if the plant is getting too tall. Alternatively, I showed you some glue dots. And there's, you can see, there's a little root ball tuber that you can see on the plant. So I cut nice and low just to avoid any rotting tissue. Just water and cover that up. And then you can see the tubers here. There's several of them, little root ball like tubers. Sorry, my hand's in the way here. Let's try to detangle this Muna. So see, you can see the tubers there. So you can cut multiples from this plant, or make multiple plants from this one division here. I'm just gonna cut it a little lower. And then we'll just pop those into the cup. And pop those little tubers right in. You can just stamp down or tamp down the dirt so it's a little more stiff. Make a little hole. And then just kind of snug it in there. Throw a few little beads of fertilizer in, and then I'll make my holes and my zip tie for my hanger. And voila. So again, 2 holes, tiny zip ties, which I order in like a pack of 1,000. Poke it through to make a loop. And then that's my little loop for hanging my plants on my racks. So yeah, as I was saying, my racks are super lightweight, those metal racks. They're just the racks for industrial shelving. You can buy them at Home Depot, and I'm gonna say they're like $8 or something. Fairly cheap. I use them inside my grow tents. I use them on my walls just to be able to hang plants in their cups vertically, because I'm out of room. And if I keep stacking cups, you know, I'd hate to have the domino effect. All right, there's another one, and just want to make sure that I put it in the right size cup, because if I put it in a cup that's too short, then it's going to grow out of there, or it's going to not grow out of there, but it's going to grow all wonky because it can't grow any higher. So it'll start curving downwards and twisting around, and the leaves will be smaller. Snug that guy in. A little bit of fertilizer. Make my hooks. Again, I do prefer using a Dremel because it's very quick. Makes a nice big hole, but I left it at my shop. You can definitely plant these guys in regular pots as well, but like I said, I just use these because they hold the stems upright, and I can leave them for a long time, and they won't dangle down, and if one rots or gets moldy, it doesn't affect other plants if they're all in one bin. Okay, so there's that little tuber you see on the bottom. Let's get another cup, this time a little bit bigger. And I always reuse my cups. You can see that one already has a little loop in it. I will wash and scrub and reuse all my cups, provided they're not damaged over and over and over again, instead of recycling them, because of course recycling also adds to environmental depletions, the exhaust or energy used to power the recycling plant, etc. So I just reuse them. And I just try to make the zip tie part, poke the holes a little bit lower. This was when I first started doing it, and then I realized that it gets in the way of the lid. So if you poke them a little lower, then you can close the lid and not have the zip tie get in the way. Alright, so which one should we do next? This one is a noid, meaning no ID, noid. You can see how all the leaves at the top get all crumpled because of the small size of the cup. And the size can get some algae or mold as well. This one's a fairly easy one. It's quite iridescent. And it's quite lovely, quite an easy grower. The little dots are almost a little bit iridescent. And I decided to, instead of planting this in cups, just to put this main plant into a salad bowl. And I just get the salad bowls from Amazon, of course. Sorry, just if you hear me typing here, I'm just trying to tell my daughter, who's texting me from her bedroom next to me, that I'm recording. Don't think she gets the idea. So it's a big clump of root ball here, so you don't actually have to use a tuber in propagating these tuberous plants. They're so easy to propagate, so you can even just use a node without a tuber. You can also just cut it anywhere along the petiole / stem and just pop that into soil. You don't need anything. You can also score the leaf and put into soil, but I find that's a little bit less successful of a technique, just because the leaves are quite fragile and thin, and they can easily mold if you don't get the soil moisture just right. So pop a part of that stem, any part of that stem, into soil, and it will form a whole new plant in no time. Here I'm just popping it into a salad bowl because it's growing quite big and wide. I'm just going to clean the side of this bowl, and then this is where I use my glue dots. And you can buy them in packages of like 5,492 dots. These ones I got are particularly large, so I just kind of rip them into 2 or multiples and then stick them onto the lip of the salad bowl, to that glob there. And then I will just dry this other half of the salad bowl that I just washed, and then just pop it on top. Give it a squeeze. You can also use a little butterfly clip if you want, in addition to or instead of the glue dots, but I find that glue dots work so well, to me, better than the little hair clips or those orchid clips. All right. So another little cup here, and we'll pop that prop into the... apparently everybody just wants to text me right now. Pop them into the cup, snug them in there, and you can see I just put the stem right in, one with a bit of a node and then one just the stem. Make my little holes. Oh my god, there's a spider on my computer. Ew! I'll be okay. If I die or turn into Spider Woman. Oh, yeah! Okay. Did I really do that? I suppose I could just record over that or just leave it there. Yes, I'm a bit afraid of spiders, so if I turn into a radioactive Spider Woman, or a Spider Woman, then you know the culprit. And this will be the last video that I make as a human and not a Spider Woman. Speaking of Spider Woman, we went to a climbing gym. I took my kids the other day just for fun for the first time, and there was this girl there that was just not showing off, but she was just killing it and making all the boys look bad that were at the climbing wall. She was going up and horizontally and everything. So I just called her Spider Woman. She was a good inspiration for my kids' first time at the climbing gym. We're trying to get the kids a little more healthy and doing more physical exercise. So trying different new activities. So here again, just doing the same thing, cutting along near a node or with a tuber or just on the stem. All of the above will work for these Tuberous Begonia. They're actually very easy to prop, especially in these cups, personally. But not in these cups, but in the big cups that the enclosed, Starbucks-like cups. But I'm gonna try some in here because, eventually one runs out of room until I can reorganize in my garage and put more wire racks up on my walls. But even so, there's only, so much time I can devote to plant care before my husband divorces me. And I have to pay attention to my children, of course, too. Occasionally. Alright, so I can pop those guys in there, and they're short enough that the size of the cup will still hold them up. You can also take a whole bin and just put soil in the whole bin and just prop them that way. So here I have a mass of Muna, and just showing you here that you can literally just sometimes pull different plants apart and then just make multiple plants from one plant. I should note that some people give a period of rest for their tuberous begonia, and Mountain Orchids has a very good article on this, on resting the tuberous begonia. Oftentimes there will be a period where the plant looks kind of tired, yellowing, just not its usual beautiful self. And during that time, you can slow down the watering and just allow the plant to go dormant. And then you can cut off the dead leaves once it goes dormant. And then you can just set aside that pot, or you could attempt to try to remove the tubers from the vessel and store them until the spring, and then replant them with new, rich soil, and have the tubers re-sprout from that. Again, Mountain Orchids has a good article, short article on that. I've never really had to rest them before, but I suppose I could. And I think if I wouldn't have time to necessarily dig all of them up, but I could possibly just allow them to dry and die off and have a period of rest. But that would mean that I would have to label and store those cups or planters somewhere, and then remember to wake them up in the springtime. Starbucks cups. Every time I go get a Starbucks drink, which isn't that often anymore, because that was one of my goals, I get a venti cup of water and use them for planting. Alright, so that is about all. Planted a few of these. Generally it's the same with all of them. Here's some of my Variabilis in my tent. And it's a nice prolific flower as well, so a great one to practice your pollination, and I'll do a video on that. Maybe just a quick video on that. There's the Variabilis in my tent growing very happily. You can see that they kind of dangle forward. Again, there's just a little snippet of my tent, and I am doing a video, if you're watching this in the future, on my channel. Subscribe, please, hit the like button. Join me on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching.
This can only mean one thing, that my love might begin to believe.